this just in, here in Pullman, Washington, Enlightened absolutism and despotism during the 18th century was discovered a myth. Turning it over to Allison, receiving updates in Prussia.
Prussia was commonly known as having a very absolutist rule. Some examples of this are Frederick William I and Frederick William II. They helped develop an army and bureaucracy of Prussia. Starting with Frederick William I, known as a very controlling ruler, always kept close personal supervision over all operations of the state. A statement made by him saying, "One must serve the king with life and limb, with goods and chattels, with honor and conscience, and surrender everything except salvation. The latter is reserved for God, but everything else must be mine." This shows extreme control over the state, but apparently he also allowed salvation. Moving on to Frederick William II, who was more freeing and open. He was well versed in Enlightenment thought, but he was also too dependent on Prussian nobility. He allowed a little bit of enlightenment during his rule, but also made the society even more aristocratic. A strong quality of Frederick II is that he utilized the powers of the strong army and united the scattered territories of Prussia. So based on this information, we can see there's a mix of Enlightenment ideas along with non-Enlightenment ideas. Now we will send this over to Mia in Austria to see what support she has.
Here in Austria, there's a difficulty providing common laws and centralized administration. Land was split into 10 provinces and even further divided into districts. Maria Theresa's successor, Joseph II, issued laws to transform Austria, but this was too much for them to handle. Serfs were freed, there was a new penal code, drastic religious reform, and German as the new official language. Even the peasants were unhappy. This failure just separated the state even more, pushing it further from enlightened absolutism. Turning it over to Sarah with the coolest updates in Russia.
Here in frigid Russia, Catherine the Great took over. She wished to reform Russia around enlightened absolutism ideas and failed. She questioned serfdom, purpose of torture and punishment, and advocated for equality in the eyes of the law. Catherine also entrusted the 50 provinces that she created in Russia to the nobility. Her decisions make life in the lower class worse. Nice try, Catherine. Thank you. Next.
You heard it here first, folks.
After our updates from Prussia, Russia, and Austria, enlightened absolutism and despotism during the 18th century was discovered a myth.
Tune in next time for your AP update. Pullman, Washington, enlightened
Pullman,
absolutism.
Washington!
Despotism during the 18th century.
Hello.
Thank you.
My ex.
Thank you.
Next.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks.
After.
Ready? Are you ready?
I do next time for your AP update.
That was good.
Good enough.
Yeah, cut out the sound at